Hello everyone, Hamer back again with another Mission Impossible episode review. This time I'm doing Season 3, Episode 14, which is called The Test Case. So we start with Jim going to a music store and using spy speak to ask for special recording for his instructions. The mission is to foil the plan of Dr. Oswald Beck, who has created a new mutant bacteria that kills and then becomes harmless after a short time, by neutralizing Beck and destroying the bacteria. The IMF discusses their mission in the apartment scene, including the possibility that Rollin might get infected with the bacteria and die. Beck is a mercenary, preparing to demonstrate his research to an unfriendly country, and the IMF heads there. Security Captain Olney discusses his uneasiness about Beck's secrecy in his research with him, making it clear that there isn't much trust between the two. Barney gets up on the roof of one of the buildings at the science complex. Not sure how we got there in the first place, but whatever. Cinnamon arrives as a reporter who wants to interview Beck some hours before an important demonstration of his work is to be done. During the interview, where Olney is listening from another room, she hands Beck a paper, ostensibly his biography, but actually offers him $500,000 for his work. They subtly discuss the idea of negotiating a deal as Olney enters a room and wants to have a look at the paper. Using a special pen, Cinnamon is able to change what's on the paper to an actual biography of Beck. Jim misdirects a transport truck carrying a test subject for Beck's demonstration to the wrong building, where Willie is stationed, and the IMF puts the guards on ice, as well as the test subject, putting them in storage tubes for temporary safekeeping. Rollin takes the test subject's place, and Jim takes him to the correct building this time. However, Dr. Olney says the Rollin isn't the correct subject. Military Dr. Jim shows Olney that the selected subject died earlier this morning, so Rollin is taking his place. Jim tells Olney that earlier that day his car was taken aside by a man and a German-sounding woman who made him a huge offer for Beck's research, which is supposed to be secret, but, well, news will out. He says he agreed to try and steal the research for them in an effort to find out more, and the woman said she would contact him. Olney tells his assistant Marlov to bug Cinnamon's phone. Barney gets into the autopsy room at Building 14 through the roof window where the testing will be done, while Cinnamon makes a call to the facility to distract the technician so that Barney can get into the test area and rig it with a balloon that will contain some knockout gas. Cinnamon calls again so that he can quietly get out and go to a different part of the building, working on drilling through some concrete. The general arrives and Rollin is brought into the monitoring lab. As the crew turn on their equipment, Beck activates the mechanism to bring one of his cultures up to the lab, but Barney's cleverly dug a tunnel into the path that the culture takes and swaps it for one of the IMF's own. In the lab, there's some interference which a technician checks out, spotting the balloon. Rollin is forced to kick that technician to knock him out, forcing the guards to subdue him, and the poor technician is gurneyed out of the lab. Jim offers to have a look at him to sedate him and make sure he stays quiet. Jim confirms with Barney that he was able to make the switch, and the test proceeds, with Rollin using a special pill to simulate death for a few minutes. The test chamber's air is evacuated as Cinnamon calls the lab and says she wants to have a second interview with Beck immediately, which Marlov relays to Olney. Beck demands to be paid, and the general hands over the money, but Olney says he wants the autopsy to be done first. Quietly, he tells Beck about Cinnamon's call and confronts him about not being told about the offer he was given, which was clever in case the test failed. Jim leaves to view the autopsy as he activates the balloon, which releases the knockout gas into the viewing area, subduing Olney and the general. In the autopsy room, Jim says that Rollin isn't dead, shocking Beck, and the gas sensor goes off, Olney accusing Beck of betraying them as he falls unconscious, as Jim says they are showing signs of meningitis, and asks Beck for the antidote. But Beck says there isn't one, leading Jim to say that Beck is likely indeed a traitor, as Olney said. The prisoner isn't dead, and now this is happening. Jim says Beck must have sold out to the Americans. Beck holds Jim at gunpoint, activating the mechanical arm to get a sample culture and grabbing the bag of money. As the culture is raised up, Barney switches it for a different one again, which Beck puts in the bag. Calling Cinnamon, he accepts her offer, with Marlov listening. As Beck tries to escape, Marlov shoots him. Barney subdues the technician who heard the shot and lets guard Willie into the room. They get Roland out and into their van as Jim puts the IMF culture back onto the platform and sends it back down to Beck's storage vault. Jim's remote sets the vault on fire as the IMF exit to Cinnamon's waiting car, along with the poor guy who was supposed to be the real test subject. Mission accomplished. I'm going to give this episode a grade of a D+. I don't find it to be a really great episode at all. It's borderline not even entertaining for me. The good, I liked the switcheroo that Barney pulls. Visually, that's kind of neat, where Barney, gets through the concrete to where to the path that the cultures take from their vault up to the lab, and is just kind of able to switch them around. That was visually kind of neat. That part I did like. Also good. I think there's a decent array of actors here in terms of like Noah Keane as Olney and David Hurst as Dr. Beck. Not great, but they're good. Just in terms of the performance. That's about all I can say on the good side. What's not good? Quite a few things, and they're pretty noticeable here. The first one and the main one is I'm going to kind of harken back to a lot of other episodes as kind of examples of what I mean, what I'm talking about here. A few episodes ago, we had The Bargain. And in that one, I commented that we have the episode kind of went up a little bit when the action got started, and then it kind of flatlined. There weren't really a lot of ups and downs. Nothing really interesting or exciting in terms of the action. It just kind of went. And at least that's how I felt. I feel exactly the same about this episode. It's pretty flat overall. And not very exciting. I'll extend that even to the characters, the antagonists that the IMF are going after, in terms of Beck and, in a way, Officer Olney. These antagonists are not very engaging. I'll go back to, strangely, an episode where David Hurst appeared last season in The Astrologer. And again, I don't know, maybe it's just a coincidence, but in that episode, I also commented that seemed like, the IMF it was just another day at the office for them. They're going up, they're going up against another set of guys and just doing their jobs, and, they get the better of them. And it just didn't seem interesting. There didn't seem like there was just a lot of finesse. It was just kind of, just a job to do. Again, not very engaging to me. Another thing about, the antagonists that they're dealing with, they're already at odds with each other. It's not like we have, in a lot of what I call separate and mislead plots, where you have two guys who are, joined at the hip or thick at thieves, or at least have a shared goal in common. And the IMF has to kind of separate them out and play both ends against the middle, as I think Jim Phelps said once. In this case, you have two guys who already don't trust each other, don't like each other. And the IMF just has to exploit the existing division between them. And it just, frankly, it just seems so easy. Not that they're unintelligent people or unintelligent characters, but they don't show a lot of intelligence here. The IMF is able to infiltrate this, top secret facility where this important critical research is going on, and they have zero difficulty doing that. Which is really, really, really bizarre to me. Like, we don't even get an explanation of how they're able to get into the facility. Just really, really bizarre. And so overall, I just find this episode really, really unengaging. And That's really the bottom line. It just really did nothing for me. I don't know. It's a little bit of a microcosm in a sense that, previous to this, we had the episode The Mind of Stefan Miklos, which please look at that review if you haven't already. That was such a fantastic episode, and it's a shame to think that maybe the show has peaked a little bit, and now we can look back and say, okay, now here we go. We can look back at previous episodes and find some of the same patterns, and not always a good pattern. Let's see how it goes in terms of the rest of the episodes for this and subsequent seasons. Anyway, that's my review for this one. Thank you for watching. Please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel, and please leave your comments as always. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time.